So now let's talk a little bit about sponsoring multi-sited. So this will not pertain to most of you, to be honest, but we do need to go over, if you are sponsor or multi-sited, just a small section. We do a 1-hour presentation on this, so it goes into a lot more detail about being sponsor or multi-sited, but maybe you're thinking about it, or maybe you're just helping out. So we do want to briefly talk about if you're multi-sited, if you're a sponsor. So that means that you have one agreement number and you have several sites underneath that agreement number. So you do, if you are a multi-sited, you do have to monitor each site 3 times per year. The most common method is doing 2 unannounced and 1 announced, or you can do them all unannounced. We do have a new form, what we call for the expenditure worksheet that we call, well, one, you have to do the expenditure worksheet per site. And as I mentioned earlier, maybe your facility, the way you're ran, you don't split it up per site. If that's the case, then contact your program specialist and talk to them, because maybe for your facility, you don't have to do it in an expenditure worksheet per site, but talk to them to see what's best for your facility. We also have what's called the sponsor and site profit and loss worksheet. So this is a new form as of this year. It is in the manual. And when essentially what you're doing is you're taking every site's expenditure reimbursement worksheet and putting it all on this site. And then, I'll show you an example. If you are a sponsor, you are only allowed to claim up to a maximum of 15% of the total reimbursement for the year. And it can only be in administrative costs. So there's no cap on operational costs, but there is a cap of 15% for any admin costs. If you are multi-sited, the building for the future, that does have to be sent to our office every year during renewal time. And again, we're not quite sure why. And then this year we added seriously deficient procedures to the sponsors section. So this is the new sponsor and site profit and loss worksheet. So every site has, so in this situation, we have Western site, Eastern, North, and South. So they are all listed here. They just took their expenditure reimbursement worksheet and they just transposed the numbers onto this form. Again, if you use the one that's in the interactive forms under worksheets, it has 2 tabs. So if you do need one for income, or if you do want expenditure broken out, you can use that tab as well, and it will move everything over here. So again, here's the Western site, what they had for food service labor, food purchases, non-food, and then their reimbursement they received for that month. And the same thing for Eastern, North, and South. Now, Toys and Noise, they did have some administrative costs that were from the sponsor, and this is where it can go as well, because really, if the sponsor has any cost, it's not going to be with one site. So you can spread that out. So we have right here S for sponsor, and then the site codes for each site that we have in our system. Now, this even goes for us, but if you are at a center and they have infants there, and this comes from our manual on page 214 in the Q&A on number 5 and 6. So if you go to facility and they have an 8-month-old infant and they're not being served solid food, what do? You're supposed to go and ask questions, because really typically by this month they are eating. Now, I have been out and about for a long time. I've seen kids that are severely premature, so they cannot, they're not developmentally ready. I've had it where parents are like, no, I don't want my child to eat. But if it is a case where they are eating, but they're not writing it down, that does need to be addressed. So if you do go and there is an 8-month-old infant not being served food, then just talk about why, and then you can just notate that down in your monitoring form. Now, maybe you want to add some new sites. If you do want to add a site, you do have to fill out the adding site form and send in all the required documentation for whatever program that you're on. You cannot start claiming on that site until your program specialist comes out first to do an approval visit. It's a much smaller approval visit. They just have to make sure the site exists and look at the site. So if you add a site, your program specialist has to approve it first before you can start claiming. Something that is required is policies and procedures. So last year was the first requirement of sending these into us. So if you're new as well, you have to send these in. We need them on job descriptions, appeal procedures, seriously deficient procedures, sponsoring organization policies, and site policies. Now, we do have some for you. We have some that are hard copy that you can look at in the manual, in your sponsoring section manual. But if you go out to the resource library under multi-sided section, we have them in there in Word. You need to read them. Like some of them, you can just put your name on it, but do look at them and read them, because you may have to delete some things from it. You may need to add some things from it. They're just templates. They're guides for you to use to get these to the policies to us. Now, we don't have to have a copy of these every year. The only time any of these have to be sent to us again is if you make any changes. So maybe 1 year you do make a change to job descriptions. Maybe you change what the director does or the cook does or your teacher's job duties. Maybe the teachers weren't helping before, but now they're helping with CACFP. If they're helping with CACFP, when you first start, we're okay with you just giving us the director, monitor, and cook's information, but we do need to be getting it on anybody who helps with the CACFP program. We do need to have job description for them. If you have any questions at all at any time, again, this is if you go to the child nutrition manual on page 5 or page A7, or I believe it's AD7 as well. This is your program specialist. These are the ones that are here to help you. You can even call the state agency and we will help you as well with anything that you might have regarding CACFP. You guys have a great day and a great afternoon. And next we'll start up with meal patterns.